Wait a minute. I just got to hit the live stream button and go live as well. That would be great.
Wow.
Yeah, I didn't tell you we're going live.
Fuck me.
I'm going to... Hey, come back. What are we going to call this? We're going to call this Getting into the Coffee Industry. The coffee industry and training at Coffee Consulate. How's that sound?
Amazing.
Amazing. Did I tell you about my problem with the amazing thing? Did I mention that?
What is it?
Well, because I really feel like who can comment? Ooh, let's be risky and say anybody can comment, and we'll go public.
Ooh.
Yeah. So, retake the thumbnail. Ooh, should we do it? Should we take a thumbnail? Oh, hold on. It's awful. Let's use that. Okay. I just did. You know how you're supposed to make like a stupid face, right? Uh-huh. You know, like they say like the stupid face, like the stupid face as a thumbnail on YouTube gets more clicks. I should have just kept my normal face because it's stupid enough, but, you know.
What should I say? Hey?
You're supposed to say something else, actually, but that's okay. We'll move on. By the way, you're going to have your headphones in, so hopefully it'll be all right. We'll find out. There's only one way to know, and we're going to do it right now. By the way, let me introduce you, or do you want to introduce yourself? You introduce yourself, because and then what we'll do is I'll say how we met.
Okay, cool. So I'm Pia, and I love coffee. So I'm from Leipzig in Germany, and I work in a coffee roastery at the moment called Open Auf, and I'm doing an apprenticeship there, and yeah, I learn a lot right now, and I'm really excited about that.
That's fantastic. And did you just say the name of it was Open Auf, or whatever the thing is? Was that term?
Open Auf.
That's not that same term that we learned that Uta was saying?
You meant Augenhöhe? Is that?
Yeah, I guess. It all sounds the same to me. What does what you just said mean?
Open Auf means on top of it, pretty much.
Oh, sweet. Nice. Okay, so you're setting expectations. So how did we meet, Pierre? We met at training at Coffee Consulate, right? And there's supposed to be 6 or 8 of us, but then all the people who are coming from India couldn't get their visas. So like there was a visa problem or something, like, I don't know, the German, like we're having this problem in every country, like issuing visas is becoming a problem everywhere after COVID. And so it ended up on being you and me instead of 6 or 8 people. There was just you and me, and like, you know, so this is like a 7-day course, right? So let me just tell you a little bit about like why I love Pierre, and how we got to talking and got to know each other. And basically, we're just in the course together. We're just doing this thing, so we're just being normal people. At least I was being a normal person. And then I'm taking a taxi to the event every. They really slam that down hard next time, honey. Okay. And then I was taking a taxi. Just remember, we're live. I was taking a taxi to the thing every day. By the way, have you noticed how I'm sweating? I just finished mopping the floor. This is a mop sweat. This is what we call a mop sweat, right? This is an honest man's sweat, right? Because I've just mopped my floor, and it's quite exerting. Anyway, so I'm taking the, huh?
Interesting.
Well, I like to add these little bit of color into, so people know. People like, you know, they want to know that we're real. We're real people. I mop my own floor. I don't have people that mop my floor. I'm not like you. That's people. I
wish someone would mop it.
So I was taking a taxi because the Coffee Consulate is kind of like, it's in Mannheim, but it's not really in Mannheim. It's kind of on the outer edge, right? And so I was taxiing it every day. And then either you or Ute said, why don't you just take like the tram that goes right back to your hotel in the center? And I had no idea of this thing. So you walked me to the tram and kind of showed me how to buy a ticket, which was €9 for the month instead of like €20 each way, which was what I was paying. And then you said, hey, because it was really hot. It's like, hey, you want to go swimming in the river later? And so I thought, I'm sure I told you this. I thought,
yeah, you did.
I thought this was like, oh, what a cool place! Like, because I like open water swimming. And I've done a number of open water swims, and I thought, what a cool place. Like this Mannheim, people go swimming in the river. This is... That's
what they usually do, right?
Right? This is a thing. This must be a thing. I wonder how many people will go. And so I went to get some trunks, and I bought some swimming trunks from a shop. And I came back expecting there to be a group of like, I don't know, a dozen people all hanging out, maybe a barbecue. And no, it wasn't any of that. There was nobody there. There was like one person reading a book, someone in a boat, and they both looked at us very strangely as we dove into the river. I say we dove. I kind of waded a little bit and then fell in, and then and you dove in. And I thought,
more or less.
And I thought, yeah, exactly. So basically, you weirdo. You were the
yeah.
But that was great. That was great. So that was the beginning of our relationship. And then there was also the coffee that we were there all week to do. Mm-hmm. So I thought what we'd do is we'd do a session because it would give me a great excuse to get you on the show. We'd do a session because it'd be useful for people who would be interested to know what is it like to kind of get into coffee, because you're doing an apprenticeship, right? At a shop where they roast. So you're roasting and you're doing barista stuff as well, right? Yeah. So tell us in a nutshell, in 5 words or less, tell us what that's like.
Amazing.
That's amazing. Stop it.
I kind of really blew my mind to realize what you can actually learn about coffee and like how great coffee can taste and how you can understand what you taste when you understand what coffee is and what the plant is doing when it's growing and where it's growing and how that influences the taste and how everything connects, you know what I mean? And then again, that every single step that happens to the bean can change not everything, but a lot about what you taste in the cup.
For me, that was one of the craziest things was when we started, like, because I don't know, you kind of think it's a bean is a bean, and you can have like good quality or bad quality or whatever, and then after that, like it's how you make it. But actually, I mean, you can argue that there's so much more that goes into what you do before you even start preparing the coffee that affects the flavor. So everything from, and we learned the difference between like picking coffee properly, like how the plant reacts if you pick the coffee beans too harshly, the cherries too harshly, or if you process them a little bit badly. And, we were looking at beans that had, this one's been eaten by a pest a little bit, and this one's been a little bit eaten, this one's been a lot eaten. How does that affect the flavor? If you have one of those beans in your cup, even if the rest are great, how does that affect the flavor? And you can tell, right?
You can, yeah. And then as well, like having all those defects, and then when you select them, so you have actually good quality coffee, and then what you do with it in the roasting machine, where you can like either get like a really, really crazy roasted bean out of it, or you can just like burn the fuck out of it pretty much. So then you can like not taste anything of that bean anymore, so it doesn't matter if the quality is good or bad, which is pretty sad, I guess.
Isn't that though what they do at Starbucks, right? I mean, pretty much in those sort of places, is that's why they call it a dark roast is because they just don't want you to taste how crappy the coffee is. They just want to have that roast flavor, right?
And then as well, like in the last part of brewing the coffee, we tasted different over and under extractions, and it was like so crazy how that actually influences obviously the cup as well, how you brew it, and that you can do many mistakes there as well, which is especially for a really good bean so sad.
Right.
Yeah.
It's kind of amazing that you can actually get anything good out of a cup of coffee when you consider that right from the part of choosing the species, the variety, growing it, what the season's been like, whether it's been attacked by pests, how it's been picked, how it's been processed, how it's been packed, because the packing can make a huge difference, how it's transported, then how it's roasted, and then then you get in, only then do you get into like how you make it. It's like, wow.
Then you fucking taste it, and then you're like, oh, okay, this tastes like that because of this and that, and because it's growing there, and it's that variety, and wow.
That was the wildest thing, because I did not know you could really go back. And when Uta was tasting coffee, and you could see like she wasn't bullshitting it, because you know, she'd be tasting, and we were tasting some of this wrong coffee, and she'd be like, hold on a second, something's not right with this. And she'd be able to say, look at it. And she'd point out, she'd say, look, this has been burned a little bit. We need to increase the drum speed. You're like, you need to increase the drum speed. She just knew, looking at the coffee or how tasting it, we need to increase the drum speed on that roaster. It was pretty insane.
Oh, I mean, it's pretty obvious, right? Because when you know what influences what in which way, then you can also tell, okay, this looks like that because of that, so you have to change this, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So tell me, what are you actually doing in the shop there? Does he let you touch the machine on your own, or are you still...
Not yet. So not yet. I think that I don't know enough yet for roasting, and right now we're pretty much very busy with training our staff properly to brew a good espresso and all that stuff. So that's why I don't really have too much time for that right now, but I can't wait, man. I can't wait.
Yeah. So what do you serve mostly in the shop? Is it espressos or pour overs or filter? What do you do?
I love just doing that, but most of the people are more into like just regular cappuccino or latte macchiato, which really hurts because I'm like, oh man, we've got such a great coffee here. But anyways, people get more used to flat whites as well, so they like either asking, what is that? And then they try it, and they like people order that a lot as well, which is really nice. More like the cappuccino kind of thing.
Right. Because you've got in your shop, you carry, how much of it is Canephora and how much of it is Arabica, would you say, that you serve?
Maybe 2/3 to 1/3. So 2/3 Canephora and 1/3 Arabica, pretty much.
It's interesting. Do people ever like go in there and kind of ask the question, is this 100% Arabica? Because they assign Arabica quality?
So the problem is, what we ask is, do you want something more like fruity or more nutty? And then most of them go like, more like less acidity, more in that nutty direction, which is Canephora pretty much, or the bean we use is Canephora. So we don't tell them that it is Canephora, because maybe then they would be like, I want like a chocolatey Arabica or something. And like, so the Arabica is our fruity one. So I don't tell them, so this is 100% Arabica and this is not. I just ask the question about the taste.
What do you like? Right? You ask them what do they like, and then you serve them what they like. Do you ever get people complaining then, saying, hold on a second, this isn't, this isn't what I wanted. Like, I want quality coffee. You don't get any snobs like that coming in who think they know more than you do. Because there's a little bit of that over here, I have to say, where I go. There's a little bit of people like, oh, well, if it's not, Arabica, then...
Yeah, sometimes people are coming in and they ask for, so if, like, they stand in front of the coffee shelf and they ask for a coffee, and then they go like, yeah, I'm like, yeah, how do you drink it? How do you brew it? What do you like in taste? And they go, yeah, I like 100% Arabica. And I'm like, yeah, okay, why? So what, in what direction should it go? And yeah, I'm kind of trying to move away from, so if they want 100% Arabica, I'm not going to say, no, you cannot get that. I'm just talking about the different beans and explain what it is and how it tastes, and then they can choose on their own. And also, I feel like people here are more used to like that Canifera is more like, people don't really like it because they are used to, I don't know, something not that tasty, or they associate Canifera with less tasty, I guess.
Yeah.
And so I always explain to them, if they, for example, if they drank a coffee there, a cappuccino, and they said, I want something nutty, and then they want to buy beans, and then they're like, yeah, but shouldn't be Canifera. And I'm like, yeah, you just drank it. Did you like it or not? And then they're like, yeah, oh, well, wow.
Do you know, it's so funny because, again, I suppose like most people, and certainly in this country, we mostly get like Robusta, right? So it's Robusta, and we don't have any of the other Canifera varieties. And so we just get Robusta, and it tends to be the cheaper stuff. And so that's why people associate it with, it's strong, but it's not that good quality.
I mean, here no one knows what a Canifera is, pretty much.
Well, I don't think
I'm like, yeah, Robusta, maybe?
Yeah, but as soon as you say Robusta, they think cheap. But anyway, so moving on, do you prefer the filter coffees or the espresso?
Depends. It depends on how I feel, pretty much. And as well, if I'm in the cafe or not, because obviously at home I cannot brew a espresso because I don't have an espresso machine.
Right, you're limited at home, right?
Yeah. But,
I understand.
Yeah. Oh,
by the way, those are amazing plants behind you. I've seen you. Well, I'm very fortunate. I do have an espresso machine, but I've also... Oh, yeah. Had I not known that you didn't have an espresso machine, we wouldn't have had you on the channel, y'all.
Surely, who has that?
I mean, it's a 3-group Lamazocco I've got in the kitchen, so
because that's like the
that's the minimum. That's the start. That's the entry point. But since I have to say, and I only drank espresso for years, because I think I was crap at making AeroPress, and I didn't like the V60s, and I thought about getting. What's not the V60? What's the big glass one? The big glass.
Chemex? Is that Chemex?
Chemex. I was thinking about getting a Chemex. Maybe it'd be better than the V60s. But anyway, I never did because I thought, but it's not going to really, is it? It's a lot of effort. And then the week, a little bit of product placement there, but the week of training there with Ute and Dr. Schwartz, drinking coffee. Actually, mostly we didn't use this, right? We used the ceramic, same kind of idea with the little holes in the bottom and no paper, and the straight through kind of design. I should go that up. The straight through design. So rather than it being tapered, right, it's straight through. They talked a lot about that, the importance of that design. And so we would use those ceramic pots. And I have to say, after a week, it's kind of like you've just been brainwashed. And I started to really enjoy those coffees. And I think part of it was because when you made it right, you can actually taste the flavors in it, which was kind of bizarre for me. I know. And then you start to actually know what you were tasting. It started to connect the what you're learning with what you're actually tasting, which was pretty wild.
So I think for me, I like to drink an espresso because that's a drink which can be super crazy as well. But for actually tasting a coffee and getting what it tastes like, and not making flavor profile, but like mapping it in your own like little coffee map. I mean, like the fit, but I never actually use the V60. So if I'm drinking coffee at home, I'm using the French press, which is more similar to the glass filter than the Chemex or the V60. But actually borrowed a glass filter as well from the cafe. So
you
we can
borrowed one. You borrowed one. Yeah, that's nice.
I think this is going to be my next invest, to be honest. So if I ever get money for that. After I bought my 3-group Namatsako.
Yeah. Hey, listen, we got a question in the chat
exciting.
asking. I know it's from Play Nice Games, which is a great thing, really, because I do like to play nice games. But I'm actually a huge. You know what? Scrabble can never beat a good game of Scrabble, although I lose all the time. But anyway, so Play Nice Games. Yeah, she has asked a question. When it's hot outside, do you still enjoy hot cups of espresso? I mean, for me, I always have an espresso because I get up so early in the morning. That's the thing. I get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. It's never hot outside at 4 o'clock in the morning. If it is, then I've got bigger problems. And so I always have my espresso then. But later on, I have to say, in the UK, like, who would ever ask that question? Oh, when it's really hot outside, you're like, I wish. But this year, it has been really hot. We got up to 40 degrees or something. And now Pia's chugging a bottle of water because it's made her think about it. So I tell you what, there were times I wish that we had some of that iced coffee that we had, that Dr. Schwartz made us. Because we can't talk too much about it, but...
Did you say iced coffee?
Well, you know what I mean. Yeah. You know what I mean.
Cold brew.
Yeah. Well, either one. No, okay, so there's the cold brew thing. I kind of wanted to steer off without talking about what he was doing, but he made some really nice cold coffees, and they were really refreshing. I mean, the best I've ever tasted. I don't know about you. I thought they were the best I've ever tasted in my life.
I can't get over it still. I want to go back.
Why hasn't he sent us bottles of that stuff?
Yeah! That's
Come on, Dr. Stefan!
Please!
But yeah, if we beg on the channel, would you send us a few crates of that good stuff, the good stuff that you got in the fridge?
Come on. Just want...
But you can make an iced espresso. We used to make that at my cafe. We used to make iced espresso. But sometimes it's really nice just to crush the ice. But oftentimes we just get a double espresso and put it over some ice. And that was
Press on the rocks.
It's basically espresso on the rocks, baby. Kind of like, yeah.
How fancy.
That's what James Bond drinks in the morning.
For me, I think it's more about the bean I drink than if it's hot or if it's cold. Because so I would rather drink a canifera on like a cold winter day or like a rainy morning than at a really hot summer day in the afternoon or something. But if I have a really like fruity or like citrus fruity Arabica, or maybe also like a Hybrido de Timor, which is more in that stone fruity direction, that's like, for me, that's great for the summer as well. So for a really hot day, I would prefer like a citrus fruity coffee, which can be hot as well, because that's not... So I don't mind if it's hot, if it's good, you know? And also, if you get a chance to do a really good cold brew, that's like on top, you know?
Yeah. I'd have to say I was never a huge fan of cold brew, but then I realized it's only because I was having bad cold brew. So we got to change all of that. But I don't think I can get access to good cold brew around here, honestly. Not where I live.
Right?
If we're going to London...
Got to do it on your own, right?
Yeah, but that takes work and effort. Well, the only way I can do this, I've been rationalizing this whilst I was mopping the floor. So the only way I can do this is if I get a cleaner to come in. I was thinking to myself, that's at least an hour, 2 hours a week extra. I could use those 2 hours to either A, go to the gym, or B, make a batch of cold brew.
B. That sounds good. Yeah, or you just still take the time, even though you don't have someone cleaning for you, maybe? Do it like
so listen to this. Yeah. This is kind of weird. Someone's saying here, I can only hear Nick. Nobody can hear you. I can hear you, Pierre.
Oh, yeah.
Look, worst... Yeah, it may be the case that this screwed up, and but I can hear you, so it's recording. So worst case scenario is I'll upload it later. So everybody who's listening, yeah, I know. Just do a little. If you could pantomime,
it's okay because anyway, it's not important what I say. So.
Oh, darling,
No.
that is so not true.
No.
That is so not true. You're the star of the show, but you're the silent star. It's a bit like the silent movies, like in Charlie Chaplin days.
Am I louder now? Wow,
You're loud. You're pretty loud, I would say.
Am I still loud?
Oh, you're turning down the volume, but I don't know. It's just people are saying. What are they saying? I guess I'll hear the later. I'll upload later. Yeah, it's only one-sided. Can't hear Nick. Can't hear her. I mean, I only hear. I guess. Almoni.
Where do you see the?
Oh, you have to go onto the YouTube channel, and then it's only for me right now. I see it because I'm special.
Oh wow!
So actually. Yeah, actually. So somebody says I can only hear Nick. I don't know if that's only me, but I can't see if I can only hear Nick or I can only hear Nick. I guess it's I can hear Nick. Yeah, it's one-sided. I think they can't hear you. Just pantomime your way through it. Did you ever play charades at Christmas?
No.
Okay, well that's kind of where you have to like act. Somebody gives you a thing. They say like I don't know, the Great Train Robbery as a theme, right? You have to act it out, and you're like that. So you just it's just like this with the coffee. But yeah. So tell me though, we'll go on and then because actually this is beta software. I've just noticed here it says at the bottom beta, which means it's not ready.
Yeah.
But they're still taking my money. But I'm still paying for it. You cheating! This company. Anyway, so Pierre, so you're making the espresso. One quick question on espresso making, because a lot of the audience does like the good espresso. In fact, to be honest with you, it's kind of like pretty much everybody who comes onto here is an espresso drinker, because that's been my thing. At the shop, when you make espresso, walk us through a little bit about how do you get involved at all in calibrating the grinders or tuning in the espresso machine, or is it all set up for you?
No, yeah. So, the barista who's coming in is trained to calibrate the grinders and make sure that the espresso coming out is good, because otherwise we cannot do our business, right? So, yeah. So the first thing you do in the morning is obviously turning on the coffee machine and then calibrating the grinders and see that people are going to be happy with your espresso. And for us, because especially, like not for the Canifera bean, but for the Arabica bean, or like for the fruity bean, which is not always an Arabica, we brew it a little bit shorter to put the focus more on the fruity acidity, which is nice.
Yeah, to bring the acidity out. Mm-hmm. You want to bring the acidity out, yeah.
And then for the flat white, obviously we use a ristretto, which is even shorter. Yeah.
You use like a double ristretto, right, in the flat white? Yeah. That's actually quite interesting because I always found it difficult. I love ristrettos because they tend to have a thicker texture to them. So I make a double ristretto. They tend to be a little bit more texture because you're not letting it run as long. But I would.
So you mean in like for the crema or?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, it can be crema, yeah, but just basically it's a thicker. Like if you run the coffee for longer, it becomes a bit thinner, right?
Yeah,
so if you're running it shorter,
crema-wise, all the lipids are extracted or getting more extracted in the end. So pretty much to a certain point, the longer you let it run, the more crema you have. But obviously, after a while, there's just water extracting. So, or like not water, but yeah.
So how would you change that? I'm always interested because I always struggled in making good ristrettos. How do you make yours? Do you change the grind setting specifically for making a ristretto? No.
That would be really difficult in our daily business. So for you at home,
right,
doesn't really make too much sense as well because ristretto is just like a shorter. So the how do you say that? The amount of water you use for the grams of coffee is pretty much, I think it's 1:1. So you've got
1:1. That's right.
If you have 20 grams of coffee, you get 20 grams of ristretto, right? And then for the espresso, so that's the brew ratio. But for us, we don't use 20 grams of espresso of coffee and then have 40 grams of espresso, if that makes sense. We just extract it a little bit shorter. And then for the espresso, even shorter, but we use the same beans with the same grinding. We just use less water, pretty much.
That's what most people do. That's what most cafes do. I mean, it's always interesting though, because if you pull it short, ideally what you've got is you've got that curve, haven't you, of over-extracted and under-extracted a little bit, and it balances out. And if you put it short, then technically you haven't let the rest of the shot run, which balances out that earlier part of the extraction, and so it can be a little bit over acidic. But then if you're putting milk into it, I guess in a flat white, that might go really nicely. And that's why a lot of people do double ristrettos in a flat white. Yeah. So
for just drinking a ristretto as it is, it would not be my kind of thing because it has, as you said, there's really high acidity in it. But with the combination of the milk, it's just really, really nice. Yeah.
That's nice. Yeah. So, and what kind of Arabica beans are you using for that? Are you using Ethiopians or Kenya, or what kind of Arabica?
So right now we have Hybrido de Timor. No, we don't. We have so since yesterday we have a Arabicoid, which is a crossover from an Arabica plant and an Liberica plant, and this is so exciting, right?
So a lot of people don't know about Liberica as a plant, and it's another not a variety, it's another what's the word I'm looking for? Species. So you've got the Canephora or Canephora, and then you've got the Arabica, and then you've got Liberica, which is, and the interesting thing about it is it's very sweet, right?
Yeah.
So you can blend. It makes a wonderful coffee plant to blend, or bean to blend in with some Canephora, or potentially, I guess, Arabica. I haven't really tried it with Arabica. I've only tried it with Canephora. And I found, and you would find when we had it at Coffee Consulate, that it really brought out a lot more sweetness.
It's insane.
Didn't it?
I mean, for those who don't really know much about Liberica, they have lots larger cherries, which is why they have a lot more sweetness in it. So if you
a lot more sugar,
add the Liberica to either by as a blend is like using spices when you cook, right? So you just like put a little bit of Liberica in it, and then you get like this extra touch of like, and it has like its own, as well as like Arabica and Canifera, it has its own like really special taste, which is super interesting. And like it's like on its own, Liberica is, I don't know if too many people would like it, to be honest, but it's super interesting. But what I want to say is, so what we have in our grinder right now is not a blend, because it's like a baby plant out of like a crossover from Arabica and Liberica. So the plant itself is not Arabica and it's not Liberica, it's like a crossover. I don't know how you say that.
Cross. Oh, very interesting. A crossbreed.
Same
very
as
cool. Very cool.
You know the Hybrido de Timor, those stone fruity things, Arabica Canifera? Same there with, I think it was something with S. S795, I think.
There's do you know there's a whole bunch of S's. Yeah. I mean, the Arabica, are you talking about Arabica or are you talking about something?
No, this line, so this cross.
This breed, or the crossbreed. Okay,
that
no,
line
I don't know.
Is called S. Oh wait.
Because there's like the S275 or whatever is an Arabica variety.
Wait, I can see. Let me check. I want to be sure. I don't know.
Is that you pinging?
Sorry. Let me check. So it is a.
And whilst you're doing that, I have to say, I've been making coffee. You know, I've been using, for those of us in the UK, I've been stealing my son's beans. I bought these for
nice. Which one did you get? So I found it. Just 1 second. It's the S795.
Oh, the 795.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Such a catchy name.
And the interesting thing about that, so the S795 and the Hybrido de Timor, is that they have like a really high resistance against any like diseases or like the coffee leaf rust and all that stuff, because they
coffee rust.
Because they have like such a high biodiversity, which is really cool.
Yeah. Well, oftentimes they've been bred specifically to do that. What's very interesting is the World Coffee Research, which is like the leader in all of this, really only focuses on Arabica, and I think it's a huge miss because I think as we get into more issues with climate change and farmers trying to improve their own living because they're not making so much money, they want to improve yield, which means they want to have disease-resistant coffees. Then we're going to be moving towards different blends or different varieties and different species of coffee. It's not all going to be Arabica in the future. As a matter of fact, just to bore the pants off of everybody here and we'll move on, Brazil's Robusta production, I think this last year was the highest it's ever been.
Right, yeah.
So they know. The writing's on the wall. Yeah, I've been getting this. This is all Arabica because, again, we're in the UK. But can you see that? Check that out. These are really nice. The guy who makes this, he's quite well known. The guy who roasts these, quite well known in the UK, quite well known globally actually. And he's very good at being able to extract the flavors like roast for filter coffee. And I've been doing it in the RS16. We have to, darling, make a video or something, some kind of video review in English, because all of the video reviews are in Chinese without subtitles.
We're going to do that.
We have to do something
for sure,
about
100%.
this. We have to do it. Yeah. So have you got any advice for somebody coming into who wants to get into the industry? What would you advise them to do? Where should they start? Like going to work in a coffee shop, or is it better to work in a coffee shop initially or a roaster?
It depends.
A coffee shop roaster.
So it depends on what you want, right? So if you wanna, so you can find people who know what they're doing everywhere. So you can go in a cafe and the person behind the coffee machine can be like, yeah, okay, I know what I do and I can teach you how to brew a really good espresso, or you can go into the next cafe and the person behind the coffee machine would be like, okay, I don't even know what bean I have in my grinder and I just don't know how to really do anything with it. So it just depends on how the people are like, but in general, I feel like so from my own experience, I feel like that roasters not generally have more, like they roast the coffee beans, right? So in a certain way, they have to buy beans, so they kind of have to learn about what coffee actually is. But I think that's, you cannot really say that either a roastery is better to learn or a cafe. It just depends on the people, because you can also go in a roastery where people don't really know what they do, even if it's a smaller roastery or something. So it just depends. So for me, it was,
right.
I came into the roastery I'm working right now, and I was looking for a new job anyway, so looking for a roastery where I can work and where I can learn. So I came in there, and it's a really nice place because we have all these pictures from our partner farms and stuff, and that's like the first impression, which is like, yeah, okay, nice, that sounds good. And then, yeah, I mean, I think I told you already, but so I was standing in front of the coffee shelf, and what like my boss could tell me about the beans in like 5 minutes, I was like, okay, wow, okay, this guy really knows what he's talking about. And yeah, for example, if he would be there talking about the beans in a way that I'm like, okay, do you actually know what you're selling here, or I don't, you know what I mean? So you can kind of get a feeling for if people are actually knowing what they're talking about or not, pretty much. And I think that's more important than choosing if it's a roastery or a cafe. Yeah. For example,
just find somebody who knows what they're doing, right? Yeah. You'll learn from them. Very cool. Hey, you know what? It's been 40 minutes.
Really?
We need to wrap this up. We didn't talk about. I know.
It
seems like. I know. We're going to do that another time. You have to get you on another time, because otherwise, it goes on for too long. But it's been really wonderful talking to you again, Pierre, and I feel like you're just there. If I can just reach through and pat you on the head or something. Hey, high five you, pat you. Oh, where are you? You're there somewhere. Anyway, I just reached through to Leipzig. So I was chatting with Ute, and I definitely want to go back actually to Mannheim. I definitely want to go back there and also visit we didn't find out. We realized was that. Is at the ECM factories.
Oh yeah, we
just there.
So got to do that.
We got to do it because we only found that out with a couple of days to go, and we couldn't get access. But if we go back and we plan it, then they won't be able to hide from us, and we'll be able to get access and go see the ECM factory. That'd be pretty cool, wouldn't it? Maybe they'll give us some. Do you think they'll give us a machine? Do you think they'll give us one?
If you ask, nice.
Do you know there was that guy that stole that? There was that guy who worked at a Rolls-Royce factory, and after a number of years, every week he'd walk out with a new part, and eventually after a few years, he was able to build his own Rolls-Royce out of the parts he nicked. I kind of feel like if we don't have, there's not that many parts in an ECM, maybe we can, between us, visit them a few times and just, we could just steal a machine.
Well, I don't see any reason why we shouldn't do that.
You can distract them, and then I'll just run out the back door with a machine. We could just do that. Just keep it simple. That's probably the best policy.
But we get two.
Listen, Pierre.
Oh, no, you have one.
We could get two. You're getting a bit ambitious now. You're getting a bit ambitious, right?
Sounds good.
My darling, it is so lovely to see you again.
Talking to you.
And I love your apartment with all those flowers, which are real. Can I just say to people who are thinking, well, those obviously can't be real. They are real, aren't they? There.
Of course they are.
Yeah. Of course they are. So we'll come back next time. We'll talk about the RS16, maybe a brew a coffee. I don't know if we can we brew a coffee together?
So I actually thought we were going to do that today. So as I said, borrowed one for today.
That's all right. You borrowed it, right? Look, we both know when you say you borrowed it, you're not giving it back.
We know that. Keep it. But
well, you can still make a coffee. Just make a coffee in the channel. Just make a coffee with it. Tell me how it goes. Tell me how long you're brewing it for. And by the way, how many grams of coffee do you put in that?
16. You should know that.
It is 16. Well, I know because I was brewing with 14 for a while, but I can't remember why I was brewing with 14. It could have been that I can't remember why. Yeah. But I'm actually brewing with 15 at the moment. I know it's supposed to be 16. I'm brewing with 15.
You want to be special, right? 15.
I like to be different. That's all I'm saying. Pierre, have a great rest of the weekend. And I am going to... well, listen, when we finish this thing... I actually don't know how I'm going to finish it because it's live streaming. I've never done it before. Live streaming just me, obviously. Not you. I don't know why that is. Then apparently you can't close your window until the thing uploading. You see the uploading button?
Ah, yeah.
Let's say 100%.
I see it.
All right.
Okay.
All right. So hold on there. I'm going to end the stream. And then we'll keep talking. So oh my God, my face. I can't believe I went with that thumbnail.